Hello, friends and followers. Well, here's an update on the 100V transmitter. There was a short that was supplying major B plus voltage for the finals. The 650 volts or so the finals used was somehow getting impressed onto the bias voltage when I raised the power supply to about 100 volts. I'm not sure why that was happening. I tried to chase the short down. I did replace the little 6U8 tube, which is in the corner here that runs the scope. I can see that that had some involvement with the high voltage, as does the scope. So I pulled the scope out. I pulled the scope tube out, and I pulled off the neutralization plug to see if I could chase down the voltage problem. And when I raised the voltage and I was monitoring the little white grid jack in there, I could see I was getting about minus 90 volts on standby or idle, and then when I went to manual, I could see it dropped to about 31, 32 volts. And then when I raised the power on the Variac down there to about 95 volts, 100 volts, I would see that voltage on the bias line jump to about 800 volts, 700 volts. So it had some kind of bizarre, weird short. I just kind of dug around in the wiring on the bottom and was looking at the final tube, which is back here. This tube here, I kind of dug around in there for any shorts, and I dug around on the 6U8 here. And I hate to say this, but then it just started to act normally, and there's still maybe a short problem in there. But anyway, with that said, this is an odd transmitter for me. I tried to make the scope work today, no luck on that. I am getting power out now though, so I'm on 40 meters here. I'm on AM. I think the modulator is still hosed on this thing, but anyway, I can get some power out on AM now. So you control AM here, the carrier level. You control the main output there. Here's the odd thing about this transmitter. If I turn the output level all the way down, no output, so no feeding of the SSB or the 8 megahertz signal into the mixer, first mixer, second mixer, and I turn down the AM carrier all the way down. This thing will still gobble down power from the transformer. You can hear it humming, so it's really, really a weird system. I think I need more bias on the final. I'm getting about 30 volts on the finals bias now via the white plug that you can measure it on. Anyway, here's a go at it. So if I just go to carrier mode here, you'll see it'll pop up as far as watts here. And if I increase this, you'll see the input goes up. There's input being given to the final, but since I'm not driving it with RF, there's no power out. So this is almost like running in Class A mode or something, where the final is always going to grab power. I'm not sure if that was the intent of the of Bill Sham and of Joe Batchelor, but that's how I interpret this thing going. If you then turn up the output power all the way, it doesn't really affect how much current it draws. And if I turn up the AM carrier level now these are both maxed out. And if I turn this up, wait a minute, I have to go to manual mode here. Okay, no, I'm in carrier mode here. So yeah, it'll go. Now if I crank up the power, you'll see the watt meter will pick up. So I'm getting about 40 watts out on this mode on AM. And you'll see it'll go to a 200 watt input. I'm not sure how accurate that is, but that's the reality of it. If I then go into manual mode, it'll go to full power and take the bias off. The meter pins, and I get a good 125 watts out of it, which seems kind of high, and then it will start bleeding off power. So anyway, even if I take the carrier down to nowhere, to nothing, and I take the AM down to nothing here, it'll still gobble power and pin the meter here. Not as briskly. So it's saying 200 watts input. And if I crank the output, crank the AM up, yeah, the meter really pins. So it is doing something with the RF. All right, so that's the test there. What else can I show you? I guess we can try bands. I know that 20's blown up because the Joe Bachelor coil is cooked. Standby, go to 80 meters. There's 80 there. And let's now go to manual. This thing is no tune, so if I'm at 80 meters and I just kick it, it should go. And sure enough, no tuning. 80 meters, it just goes. No tuning at all. So what if I crank this thing up to the top of the band? On 80 on a regular transmitter, that would require tuning. Take it up here to, where am I? I'm way out of band now, but I'll do a quick transmission here. Yeah, look at that, it just runs. No tuning needed. Quite amazing, Mr. Bachelor and Mr. Sham. Good job, guys. Let's go all the way down to 3.5. Yeah, I wish the scope worked. I gotta debug that. I probably have 2 weeks of work on this thing right now. If you add all the time up, just trying to make it work at all. And fixing the VFO. Quite a rig though. I still gotta fix a modulator. All right, here we go. Look at that, it just works. There's no tune-up needed. Pretty cool. All right, and this basically is used to calibrate the receiver when you're trying to figure out where you are. So you can go to carrier here, and as you crank this up, it'll lower the bias on the final and on the driver and everything, and you'll see the power will come up. And eventually you'll get power out of the antenna. So how cool is that? It's pretty cool. So I think this thing's working pretty well. It's working. Okay, so go to standby. I'm not sure I gotta go to standby, but just to be kind to this thing, I don't think 10 meters works. I know 20's blown. 15 works. And I think 10 needs a crystal or something. I think the oscillator on 10's dead, but let's try 15. There's 15. Go to manual mode, and it should just go. Yep, not tons of power, but it's working. That's the bottom of 15. Let's go. Okay, that was actually out of band. There's the beginning of 15 right there. A little higher. Let's go up to the top of 15. There's the top right about there. Wow, it cranks up there. So a little bit of change. Anyway, that's AM. Can I run pulse modulation in this thing just to see if it'll go? There's PM. Yep, that gives a full carrier. So sideband would require, let's see, there's upper sideband right there. You wouldn't think it would be consuming power, but it will when I go to manual mode here. It's, oh, not as much. Okay, and there's no carrier coming out. Well, that's kind of nice. So what if I try to unbalance it by using these? It should start spitting out some power, right? So let's unbalance it. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. So if I unbalance it, it'll spit some carrier out. That's good. Unbalance this one. Spits out some carrier. Yeah, this thing's working. Son of a gun. So I think we're working here. I'm moving the knobs here, and the Signal's going up, but I'm not balanced. That one doesn't do much. Whoops, wrong knob. That one, yeah, it seems like it's working the way it should. That's about in the middle. When that one's down, this one doesn't do a lot. Let's see. Okay. No, it's not working at all. So I still may have a problem with the modulator. Anyway, that's that. I don't like the transformer humming the way it does. Take a listen. I don't know if the iPhone picks up the hum, but it does dim down a bit when it transmits. I gotta get the fans working in here too, so I don't cook the thing. So anyway, I should probably hook a mic up on this thing. Scope doesn't do a darn thing. It might be broken from the trip here, or just broken. No filament, I don't know. I gotta debug the scope. Anyway, that's my update. What else can I say on this thing? CW. There's CW right there. Actually, let's try an experiment. So I go to lower side. Okay, if I go to upper sideband here on 15 meters and I transmit, if I touch the microphone plug in the back, it should react. There's no mic in this thing yet, but here's the speech level. I'll turn that up and I'll go to manual mode here. And it shows a little bit of carrier. Okay, now it's about out. If I touch the connector in the back, it should spike up the meter here with some modulation, and I'll get shocked. Connector's right there. Oh yeah, hear it? So it's putting a little bit of sideband out there or something. So that's kind of working. Let's see, output power up. Carrier AM and CW. That's about it. Probably gonna blow this thing up. Let's see, what else can I do with it? The rest of these are for Vox, and I hate Vox. Speech level, deviation. Okay, relay time for the Vox. That's about it. That's what we can do here. We can go to AM and crank that up. Let's see. Manual mode. Whoa, AM really nails it. Let's take the carrier down. So there's the carrier and AM way down. I think if I hit this thing on modulation, it should go up a little bit. Let's see what it does. Yeah, a little bit. That's what AM should do, I guess. All right, that's my demo. Hope you enjoyed it. This has been a lot of work to make this thing do anything. In that, I put a 200V transformer in it. Yikes. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Dominic. And I did put this 5U4 bridge. Wow, these are getting hot. 5U4 bridge in here. These are getting really hot. 5U4 bridge in here. Put these capacitors in. 200V transformer, but I think my power supply is still whacked. And this thing has like a huge resistor, like a 50-watt resistor, which is missing. So I gotta study the 200V schematic some more. But it's basically transmitting. I probably gotta increase the bias on these tubes. I think they're running too hard. All right, that's about it. Wishing you a good day. Thanks for watching. Again, Central Electronics 100V transmitter, sort of working.